live. Okay, so welcome to the No Pants Show. I'm Susan Rook Diatori. Thank you for joining us live. And so sorry about the delay. So our guest today is Joshua Copeland, who I have been peeping at him for quite some time now because he is one of my all-time favorite people. Josh, you are so gracious. We've just had 20 minutes of really wonky technical issues, right? And you're super cool and super chill. How do you do that?
You have to go through a lot of wonky experiences in your past life. And when you are a gladiator on Upwork for quite some time, every wonky thing imaginable kind of happens to you. So, I understand that things happen, and so I'm a lot more patient than most.
Oh, well, you could tell I was not patient.
And I appreciate that.
I am one of these people. I plan ahead, right? So we were meeting 15 minutes before, and that's when I realized, oh, Safari doesn't like Zoom anymore. So, and there was a problem with Facebook link up. Anyway, all of this kind of stuff. Joshua, thank you for hanging in there. We're going to go a little bit late. I really appreciate it. That can do. I'm going to make it. I will overcome. I can triumph. That is, you are Josh. I am going to make it Copeland. That's your name. I am going to make it. That's what you put in the parentheses. So tell us about graduating from college, becoming a copywriter, and what happened to you.
Well, okay. So, yeah, but before I graduated college, before I even went to college, I discovered copywriting. Funny story. I was looking at a GQ magazine because I love GQ, and I was getting ready for work. Had a part-time job at Applebee's, and I didn't want to be there. It was like a dead-end job. I didn't really like the people very much. I hated, just dealing with the drama and not, getting ahead in life. And I'm over here. I felt like I was having like a midlife crisis, and I was like 20, right? I don't know why I was thinking that, but for some reason.
You just wait till you get to midlife.
Yeah. So there's this GQ magazine, and it's got Drake, this rapper Drake, on the cover, and he's like one of my favorite rappers. And there's a story about him where he has this mansion party going on, and there's he's got champagne fountains, and he's got models everywhere in bikinis, and he's doing all this stuff. And then he leaves the party to go to his basement to do what he really wants to do, and that's create music and produce and things, and what he really loves, his passion. And I remember reading that and being like, oh, what do I have to do to be there? I want to do something like that. I don't know what it is. I know I like to write. And now here I'm thinking like, okay, maybe I could be a writing tutor or something like that. And then
your degree is in writing and literature.
My degree is in writing literature. But before I joined Cal State, I discovered copywriting, and it kind of just changed my life ever since. And while I'm in school, I'm learning about comprehension, and I'm learning about grammar, and I'm learning about, personal essays and all that stuff. And I remember my professor being like, if you actually want to make money in life, this is the wrong major to be in. And I remember like, oh, okay.
Why did you say that? Copywriting, you can make a lot of money with copywriting.
Because I think she had no idea what copywriting was. And I was just like, you know what? Because all they're thinking about is scholastic, academic, scholarly writing. And, obviously that's not going to, make as much money. It makes money when you're a professor, but you have to go through years and years and years and years and years of school. Me, I wanted to make it like now. Right. I wanted to live that no pants lifestyle. Even though I didn't know what to call it yet, I wanted to like really start living life on my own terms. And I wanted to help a bunch of people, and I wanted to be in a lucrative profession doing what I love, and I love to write. So copywriting, when I graduated, yes, I graduated writing and literature. But I walked out realizing that I didn't want to be a school teacher. I didn't want to be an English professor. I didn't want to, put all my eggs in one basket and try to write some bestseller book and try to be the next J.K. Rowling or Stephen King. I wanted to make an impact quickly. You know what I mean? I wanted to elevate my life quickly, and I saw that copywriting was a way to do that. The only thing is that when you learn copywriting, you have to unlearn how to write almost, because when you're in school, all they teach you is, they teach you the structure, grammatical, and you're writing in an academic way. You have to cite your sources. You're writing in elongated paragraphs and sentences, and you're throwing giant words. People who read your essays have to read at a college level, whereas with copywriting, you have to kind of like tone it down to a fourth grade level. So it was a challenge to kind of like, simplify. But once I learned how to do that, I was like, dude, yeah.
Now, Josh, I want you to talk a little bit about simplify, because I think some people hear that and they think, dumb it down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the absolute best children's books and children's movies are not dumbed down any way, shape, or form. So let's just pause just a second and explain that difference, because that's huge. I think that's going to help a lot of people. You are not saying right because you think your audience is stupid.
No. Of course not. No, that's definitely not what I'm saying. I'm saying that, when you write, sometimes I'm not saying that simplifying is equivalent to sounding dumb or making it, keep it simple stupid. I'm not saying that at all. I'm still talking about simplifying as in taking the same message and simplifying the sentences by shortening the words and the length of the sentence, so that it's easier to communicate to a vast amount of people. It's a lot easier to get your point across when you simplify things, as opposed to using verbose language that, I appreciate language. Like, if I can write in big words all day with 10 syllables, I would do it every freaking day. And I would be so pretentious about it. I would totally do it, but that's just not, if I want to communicate messages that are going to help millions of people worldwide through the form of copy, then I need to be able to simplify it in a way that's going to allow everybody to understand. That does not mean that I want everybody to understand because people are dumb. No. But it does mean.
It's kind of the difference of this metal object that is painted red that you see at busy intersections will give you the indication that you really need to place your foot on your brakes, slow your car down, and then pause for several moments, looking both ways, versus stop.
Exactly. You're not going to put all that on the sign. And if you would it even fit? It would look like it would be spirals, like the sentence structure. It would just not. People would stop because they'd be too busy trying to read everything that's on that sign. You know what I mean? And it's just traffic jams and scenic routes. It just wouldn't be a good idea.
So tell us about your job out of college, when you started talking about your love of copywriting and what happened to you, because I think that is more common than not, especially with people coming out of college, but it can happen to anybody at any age.
You know what? Susan, for the longest time, I was actually afraid to tell this story because I didn't want, people to think some type of way about me. But you know what? I've gathered the courage and strength. Yes, I'm a little more bolder than when I started. So for the fans out there, I'll do what I gotta do. So, I enjoyed. So out of college, I became an intern at this online performance agency, and all I wanted to do was be a copywriter. Like, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew that copywriting was my thing. You find your thing, and I was an intern. But I spent more time running errands and doing like remedial, like, busy work than sitting down and writing copy.
Mhm.
I had a supervisor who would take my stuff and then just rewrite it. You know what I mean? Like, and I wasn't really getting anything from it. And the CEO, he was very like, he's entrepreneur, millionaire, multimillionaire. And I was like, yo, like, what do I gotta do to be where you're at? And he's like, you're gonna study, you're gonna practice copywriting here. Sign up for Copy Hour, study people like Gary Halbert and John Carlton and Dan Kennedy. I want you to read on Joe Sugarman, and I want you to take their sales letters. I want you to rewrite them for an hour a day. And I would spend multiple hours. And for some reason, they still have me as an intern. Now,
Mhm.
as I was younger, sure, maybe I was very, very naive back then. I was a totally different person back then. I thought that I could do it all when I really couldn't. I wasn't as good as I thought I was back then. So they had this giant company event, and we were told as the workers, the staff or employee or the team, to mingle with company clients. And I'm there, we're talking, and there's cocktails and stuff like that there. This is like the first time I've ever been to something like that. I'm like 22, 23. And I'm like, whoa, alcohol, and so I'm there and I'm talking to the company clients about how much I love copywriting. I love copywriting headlines, storytelling, the features versus benefits, and the close and the call to action, CTA. And so they were like, okay, well, do you write copy on the side? And I was like, yeah, I could totally do that. Because I'm thinking in my head, my process is, if I can make money for company clients, then they'll see how valuable I am. But in the real world, in the perfect world that may work, but in the real world, that's soliciting your personal services to company clients, which makes you what? A competitor, the actual company that you're working for. So one day they actually reached out to me on Skype while I was at work, and they were like, hey, you want to write for us? And something inside me didn't feel good about it. So I went to the CEO and I was like, hey, this is what's going on. I don't feel good about it. I don't know what to do. I told them that I was good at copy. I wanted to just prove my worth. And they were like, and he was like, well, yeah, don't do that because you're an intern and you could jeopardize your job doing that. So just tell them that you're an intern and you can't write for them. And it's okay, cool, no, whatever. I'm not trying to lose my job. And so I did, and I canceled everything out. And 2 weeks later, I got fired for it anyway. And one of the last things he told me was, you're not even a real copywriter, and you're out here telling people you're a real copywriter. And yeah, I got kicked out the building. It was a very painful experience. And I'm driving home in my beat up car with tears in my eyes, and that that sadness and borderline depression, because now you're telling me I can't write copy anymore. It kind of fermented into anger, because I was like, wait, no, I am good at what I do. I know what I'm talking about. I know how powerful copy is, and I know that I can master it, or at least get to a point where I can help people. I can change lives. I can bring money into businesses, and I can create a life for myself. So that fear, that anger turned into tenacity, and I just been pushing ever since. Like, I want to be the best. I want to prove him wrong. I'll show him who's a real copywriter. And that's kind of like, that's been my shtick. That's been my reason for the longest time,
I think this is one of the reasons why I just automatically connected with you so well. When I got to CNN, I was told they hired you because you're cute and you don't cost any money. But you really shouldn't be here because you're too young and you don't know anything about international news. You shouldn't
Wow.
be here. But hey, you look cute. And I did the exact same thing you did. Remember, someone told you spend an hour a day? You breeze by this, but I spent hours and hours a day on it. So I did the same thing at CNN. I put myself on an educational program and I learned everything about international politics. I put myself in school for 5 to 6 hours a day and then went in and did my job. So I think one of the takeaways for everybody in the No Pants Project open community is, if you want the success, you got to work for it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, definitely. There's no shortcut around it, no matter what. You know, they've got these big ideas like the 4-hour work week. I read a book that was The Lazy Man's Way to Riches. No, if you want something, you have to make it happen. You have to bring it. You have to birth it into fruition almost. You know.
Now, one of the things that Mike Shreve really emphasizes is how to scale a business and
Mhm.
how to build a life around a business,
Mhm.
rather than working all of the time.
Right.
So but in the very beginning, any startup, you've got to be willing and able to put in the time and the effort and smart effort,
Right.
right?
Right. Definitely. You have to get to a point where you have to reach a level where you can provide enough value to people. You have to be valuable, and from then you can scale. Like you have to know what you're talking about. You have to know your craft inside and out. You have to be there, because then you can teach others. You have to work in your business before you can work on your business. At least that's what Gerber talks about in his book, um, the E Myth, right? Uh, um,
I
but
love this comment. Kristen Greg Wilmorth is like, well, you were a copywriter already. That's right, Krista. You know,
thank
part of
you.
this is you just got to believe in yourself, and then you've got to have the skills and stuff to back it up, right?
Yeah, you know.
So, talk about what Mike talks about. You've got to figure out what makes you valuable to your client.
hmm
And how did you sort of negotiate that? I love how you think of yourself now.
well, um, I'm sorry. Are you asking like how did I
Yeah, your superpower. As
my,
I hold up my Wonder Woman coffee mug,
that
you
is awesome. By the way, before I answer the question, may I just say you have the coolest Facebook profile photo with Plastic Man and Catwoman. I just wanted to say that easily out the gate, awesome DC fan. I mean, dope. I thought that was cool, but
You know what? That's an original piece of art from Fernando Ruiz, who
what?
was an Archie artist for years and for years. And we're actually going to get Fernando on the No Pants Show. So he's going to talk about, you know, working in the comics industry, being an illustrator. He's also a professor at the Kubert School. I mean, he's just a phenomenal person. I'm definitely going to
Wow.
tell him that you're a huge fan.
I'm totally ahead. Yes. Matter of fact, I'll be on the show to tell him it myself. I'll be tuning in. So please let me know when he's on there. Uh, but how I discovered my superpower, I've always loved telling stories. If you ask any of my friends, I'm like the storyteller. I could take things, I can like emphasize, I can do things. I loved how you can take stories and sell things with people. And the more you simplify it, I know with copywriting, I like because like I was telling you, I struggled a lot with like writing big verbose sentences and kind of shrinking it down. And then when you learn how to shrink things down, it just makes more sense. With storytelling, it's almost like you do that, but you do it in a very engaging and entertaining way. And I was like, well, what if we could do that for businesses? Like, I'm sure it's not a new concept, but I wanted I love writing stories. In creative writing, when I was in school, I was like one of the top students in the class. I love just like creating images in people's minds. I love doing that for people. And so I was like, well, maybe that's my superpower, you know? Maybe writing, storytelling, if I combined it somehow, if I did it for brands, you know, I could probably help a lot of people doing that. So I guess with my superpower, you know, I use copywriting and brand storytelling to help clients and brands simplify their message to better connect with consumers. You know what I mean? Like,
And I love how you visualize it. When I was talking to you about the interview, I was like, so how do you visualize yourself? And we did. We started talking about comics and stuff. And you're like, you know, I'm a super hero, and I
Yes.
dash in and I visualize myself as helping citizens in distress.
Yes.
What an awesome way to visualize this rather than I'm going to get rich. Now, the two are not mutually exclusive. I
Hmm.
am not into that whole you've got to be a starving artist vibe. I don't think that serves anybody.
Right. Yeah. No,
Uh,
yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And that's exactly what they put on you when you say things like, I want to be a freelancer. Like when you think of freelancer, the last thing you're thinking about is, six figures a year, unless you're like, you know, I don't know. People, but normally when you think of freelancer, when you go out into the real world and you're like, yeah, I'm a freelancer, people are like, oh, you're broke. You know what I mean? And I don't, until the No Pants project, like when I was working on Upwork, I thought that's all I was. I thought we were just a commodity, and then I was going to get paid like maybe $100 for a blog post. But then I meet him, and he's like, no, you're not a commodity. No Pants, you're not a commodity. You provide value, and you can make anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 a month if you just position yourself correctly. And I think that is so cool. But yeah, you're superheroes. We're superheroes, and people are out there. They're in pain. They need help. And with our super talents, our blessings, our gifts, we are here to make the world a better place. Well, how do we do that? We find solutions for people in need who can't find it for themselves. We are the bridge between pain and ease. We are there to help people live easier and better, healthier lives, more fulfilling lives.
oh, see, this is why I just absolutely adore you. I just absolutely adore you. Um, so
You're not so bad yourself, Susan.
we both have very similar energy and very similar philosophies. I think that's one of the things about the No Pants Project community.
Mhm.
The people, I've been through a lot of courses, I've been in a lot of groups, um, and I always end up kind of drifting away because people, I want to say it gently and tactfully, but people aren't as open. They aren't as giving. In the
Mhm.
No Pants Project community, um, people help one another. And it's not a, if I help you and you get ahead, then I'm going to lose out. It's a mentality. If you get ahead, then we all get ahead.
Mhm. Yes. And it's interesting that you say that, because I kind of feel the same way when you're going into like when you join some of these groups out here, and you're trying to help, trying to get ahead, but this like, well, what's in it for me? Like the YIIFM, the guy that Drew Eric Whitman, he talks a lot about it. People are very selfish, it seems like. And with the No Pants, everybody's like, no, if you win, we win. And then when you succeed, people are like, I want to be like that, or I want to aim to that. Everybody's building each other up. There's no crab in a barrel mentality here. Everybody is like, you know, we're all in this together. And it feels good to be around people who build you up instead of compete against you all the time.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And encourage you, build you up,
Yes.
encourage you, and provide practical help. So, you have posted before about dream clients and finding dream clients. Tell the people in the No Pants Open community a little bit about how you have negotiated finding your dream clients
Hmm.
and how the No Pants Project sort of helped you hone in on that person.
Well, when I was on Upwork, I experienced a lot of bad clients. Some good, a lot of good, but a lot of bad clients. And with each experience, from getting paid like $15 an hour to write a sales letter, or to like, I'm talking about like dirt wages, to dealing with clients who will promise you money, and then like, they'll pay you a third of it and then just ghost. And you're dealing with a lot of dishonest people. You start to figure out what you like and what you don't like. And out of all the what you don't like, you start to see what you do like. And you start to learn more about yourself and what you like. You start to, with No Pants, something like No Pants, you kind of like, you figure out, kind of take everything that you like in a client, build it into one thing. And then the key is to become that person yourself so that you can attract those people. You need to be the person that provides the ton of value, the value that you want to bring, and you kind of like vibrate on a frequency that attracts other people. So if you're really passionate about what you do and your superpower, and you're like, hey, this is how I can help you, you start attracting people who are also passionate about what they do. And then they're like, okay, well, if you're really good at what you do and I need that, and I'm really good at what I do, then we're both on the same page. And then you develop this team mentality that helps you guys shoot up. And it's just that kind of camaraderie. I feel like I'm going on a tangent again, but that's kind of how I figured out who my dream client was. When you start working with people and you start doing, working with more clients and you start taking on more projects, you start seeing what you don't like and what you do like. For example, my thing is transparency. People, when clients are incredibly honest with you, and they tell you what's working, what's not, and they don't hide things from you. Transparency also leads to things like, okay, well, this is your prices. It's above, out of my budget, or okay, well, I can afford that. People who are just straight honest with you and real with you. And when they're honest with you and they're real with you and they can sense how passionate you are about something, they don't feel the need to have to take advantage of you because they realize your worth and how it's going to help them get to where they need to go, So that's kind of how I learned who my dream client was. Going through a lot of bad experiences were actually not losses. They were wins in disguise. I like to look at it. So that's kind of.
That's a nice way to put it. Krista said that mindset shift was huge for her. She said she's not selling things, but she's helping someone in need.
Yes.
And in a way that nobody else can.
That's because Krista's a superhero.
Are you a broke freelancer? How are you doing financially? I know it's kind of rude to ask that, but everybody's like looking at this and going, oh, freelancers. Are they really going to make it? So I've seen some of your wins. Like, talk about some of the retainers that you've gotten.
Well, I haven't gotten any like super like definitive retainers yet. I've only have like big wins. Like I was able to help generate $20,000 with a single email for a client. I wrote a sales letter draft that generated that increased conversions by 14%. I have wins like that. Thanks to No Prance Project, I'm learning how to negotiate more and learn about retainers and stuff like that. And so my goal by the end of the year is to have five clients that are paying me at least $2,000 a month. But as far as retainers go, like retainers is in I keep getting projects, but nothing solid yet. So I'm still working on it,
Yeah, but you know what? You are definitely above that $15 an hour thing.
Yeah. Well, that's because thanks to Michael B. Shreve teaching us about freedom numbers in the No Pants Project, I was like, oh, this is where, and it wasn't like I was working for $15 an hour when I started No Pants, but I realized that the whole hourly thing, I was going about it all wrong. In Upwork, you have an hourly wage, and people kind of they look at you as an employee as opposed to a contractor who is a team member almost. And I had to get out of that mentality. I got to a point where I was top rated on Upwork. I was, at one point I had 100% job success for about 7 months straight. And I just was like, there has to be more than just Upwork taking 20% of everything I earn, you know what I mean? And dealing with clients, a one-off. There has to be some way I can build relationships. Thankfully, the No Pants Project taught me those kind of things.
So Fritz mentioned something which is just absolutely brilliant. One of the hardest things to do is turn away a client that won't pay what you need. When I came into the No Pants Project, I had a couple, I do ghostwriting. Yeah. And I had a couple of clients that were just, oh gosh.
Yeah. Yep. I could already feel your headache.
Just, oh gosh. But they were huge clients. And so I was kind of approaching it from the survival thing. Well, I don't want to dump this without something to replace it. But sometimes you kind of have to step out on faith. And inside of the No Pants Project, I got rid of those 2 clients, which were draining me.
Yeah.
My mental energy, not just time, but my mental energy. Got rid of both of them, replaced them with one client who is amazing. So I've
Yeah.
got more time, more energy, and it was the best thing. But Fritz is right. That's a hard step to take.
It is. It is, especially when they're giving you consistent work, right? Even though
Right.
it's like super low, but it's hey, it's something. And so you start thinking it's something. At least I have something. I'm grateful for just this little bit of money I'm getting. At least I'm getting something. Um, if I wasn't brave enough to step out and like want more for myself, I wouldn't have met that lady that you saw me getting interviewing, Crystal Lindsay, founder of 333 Social Media. She and I have an amazing relationship, and I didn't meet her on Upwork. I reached out to her outside of Upwork, and it's stuff like the No Pants Project that gives you the confidence to admit to yourself that you are a valuable person. What you have can bring value to people's businesses, and give you the courage to walk up to people and be like, hey, I can do this for your business. I can help you. I can solve your problem. I am not a commodity. you know, I think, oh, that is such a curse word, commodity, when you're a freelancer. Oh, everybody's doing it, and I'm one of those everybody. No, I'm different. And thanks to Michael B. Shreve, I was able to discover that for myself.
Josh
Yeah.
Copeland, I told everybody this is going to be a hugely uplifting show. Thank you so much for joining us today. Josh Copeland of joshwrothethat.com. Because
Yes.
you know what? You are not a commodity. You are a copywriter. You are making money.
Yes. I'm finally doing it. I'm finally making money. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm getting there. And I'm really, really excited for the future to come. If you are not in the No Pants Project, if you are just on the fence, I'm telling you, if you are not in it, you are missing out so much. You get to work with people like Susan. You get to work with people like Mike, Delicia Ivans, Deb Law, Peter, Nina. I mean, all these people who are in there that are working with No Pants, they will sit there and they will guide you. They will help you. They will take care of you. And I gotta say, man, you guys have all, including you, Susan, you guys have changed my life. And I'm gonna ride it till the wheels fall off. I'm gonna make this thing work. I'm gonna make a name for myself, and it's all gonna be with the help of No Pants. Super excited.
So I'm going to help you market your first book.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Because
I would
that's how
love
we
that.
do. We support one another. Josh,
Well, I'm gonna write for you. I'm gonna write copy for you. If you want to have a website or if you want to put an offer out there, you just let me know. I got you.
see, that's how we do. That's
Uh-huh.
how we do. This is our
Yeah.
advanced community. And if you know someone or if you have insights that you'd like to offer our community of freelancers, please reach out at No Pants Show on Twitter or email thenopantshow@gmail.com. And you can join the group where more than 18,000 freelancers gather every day to build a business around their lives instead of building their lives around a business, because you deserve a life and you
Right.
need a life. You can get a life. Simply search No Pants Project Open Community on Facebook to join. And we would love to see you. You will meet people like me. You will meet people like Josh. And we would love to have you join us. Thank you
Def-
so much. We'll see you
Thank you.
next time.
See you later, guys.